Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here for our fourth speaker of this series of our Soup Supper with Friends. We are delighted to share another story of another one of our mission partners that we will be working with over the next few years in an even deeper way. And tonight is an organization that we've had a long-standing relationship with, and that is Habitat for Humanity. And so it is my great joy to introduce you to Dave Arnett, who is a speaker for Habitat. He is a core volunteer, which means he has to work a minimum 24 days a year, but he usually puts in at least 50 days a year working for Habitat. And has been doing that for at least 10 years and then volunteering with Habitat for many years before that. Dave is an elder at the New Hope Presbyterian Church in Castle Rock, and he is also their lead for their usher and greeter team. And he likes making sure his church is a warm and welcoming place as well, something we try to do. Dave is a mountain climber. Actually, a mountain climber extraordinaire, let me say. He has climbed the highest peak in every continent. And only about 1,000 people have ever done that. So that is pretty cool. When he's not working with Habitat these days, he's also a part of the Douglas County Search and Rescue Team. So we are delighted to welcome you to Hope and to hear more about Habitat, and thank you for being with us tonight.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, it's a great joy to share. I love Habitat, and I've been part of it quite a while. I had the opportunity to retire a little bit young, and one of my greatest concerns, quite honestly, is I would get to spend more time with my wonderful wife and our daughters, but part of my family was my team. And what I found, quite honestly, Habitat gave me that other half of my family back. There's so many wonderful people, common hearts out there, purely to serve, purely to help people find homes, and it's a wonderful gift. So I've enjoyed that very, very much. Again, my name is Dave. Thank you for the opportunity. Glad to be here. I think I've got 3.5 hours, so I'm really excited about that. There's a guy doing this in the back, so I'm just going to rock and roll then. Now, we can do questions at the end, but personally, I find it's a lot more fun if there's questions you have, ask them. And my time is yours. I've got about 220 slides. No, I've got a handful of slides, but it's not about them. It's about what I can share with you that is of interest to you. I've been a core volunteer for about 10 years now. Pat, I think, began as a core in 1920s or something. Was it a little bit? I'll pay for that later, I'm sure. But it is great having Pat here also. So thank you for that. Most of these slides are actual photos, just to give you a feel. I'm going to talk about volunteering, but I'm also going to talk about what Habitat does, how it tries to expand reach and help more people through multiple paths. And I'm going to talk about the path to actual home ownership too. There's often a misperception, and it isn't an awful one, but that these homes are actually given away. And I'm sure you know, but anything but the truth. So we'll talk about that path also and just how cool that is. But again, questions are welcome anytime. If we can go to the next slide, that'd be, it's a small font. Sorry, guys. This is that's Habitat's vision, which is short and sweet. It's a world where everyone has a decent place to live, and we all want that, of course. Mission's a little bit more, but it's putting God's love in action, and it brings folks together. So I'll talk a little bit about Habitat history also, but this just gives you a feel. If you boil it all down, this is what it's about. If we can go on, it'd be great. You'll see a lot of family photos, and I'm sure Pat would share too. But one of the greatest joys is, like, we just got done in the last year on a 20 home build called Mountain View over in Aurora. and homes get built over a period of time, right? So by the time we're on our 10th home, that first home is already built, it's already done, folks have already moved in, and it's so cool to go from what was dirt, and there's nothing wrong with dirt, I'm a fan of dirt, but to go from dirt to a home where you're up in the rafters and you're seeing kids riding on bikes, riding down the road, playing in the yard, knowing chances are they couldn't have ridden on bikes where they lived prior. They couldn't have played in the yard where they lived prior. And that's what this is about, really. This was a family that we actually worked with mom and dad quite a bit during their time. Every Habitat future homeowner puts in many hours of actual sweat equity. That is part of the process. If we can go on. So these are their overall principles, and I'll be through with text slides quick, but basically affordable home ownership. And Lord knows affordable as a word has changed a bit over time, hasn't it? I mean, home prices have gone up and up, and in Denver they've gone up even more. So it's a very challenging thing. Habitat's taken a lot of creative approaches to create a affordable home ownership. The actual families are part of this process all the way through. So they apply, they go through that application process. You have to qualify with an income no greater than a certain amount, but it has to be enough to pay the actual mortgage at a low rate. And then they work the hours, a ton of education in this too. And then, there's a very inclusive collaboration. Habitat does a great job of inclusivity. As an old guy, it's taught me a lot, working with a range of folks and seeing what they're going through. So that's a really big thing. One of the key things is that, as those homeowners come in, as they're in that home over years, their equity in that home goes up. That's really key. Most of those homes are owned, quite honestly, multi-generation. I've actually worked with a gentleman who grew up in a Habitat home, and he's a volunteer now. He talked about what it meant for him, for his folks, for his actual siblings, and it was a wonderful thing. But the equity that they gain from that is a really important thing too. So these are not homes that are bought and then flipped. They are not homes that the actual homeowners don't get equity out of. It's a really clear and good path to it. And quite honestly, one of the things I've appreciated most is it just appeals to the heart how folks are treated throughout this process. And that's anywhere from the actual homeowners to guys like us that are volunteers. And Dave volunteers. It's a great place to come out and work. Can I just get a show of hands quick? How many people have worked on a Habitat day in some form or fashion? So a pretty good bunch. So you already know what I'm talking about. Hopefully your experience matched that. And if not, catch me after and I'll be glad to help find out why it didn't. But anyways, that's kind of the overall principles. If we can go on. Again, this was an actual closing. So, when they had closed on the house, this is first walking in the door, it's presentation of the keys. Being there for it is one of the coolest things in the world, quite honestly. We can go on. Wow, this is really small font, sorry. Anyways, 1976 is when Habitat actually came about. I always thought it was a Jimmy Carter thing, and of course Jimmy Carter played a huge role in Habitat awareness, in Habitat growth, but 1996 is when it was formed, and it was basically focused on growing affordable housing on a global scale through partnership, and it's kept that overall focus. Through volunteers, through homeowners, sweat equity. Habitat Metro Denver was 1979, so not long after that, quite honestly. And that's been around quite a while. And this is a little bit dated, but 2016 10 years ago, they had completed their overall 600th home. And I don't know what the number is now, but I'm betting it's at least 4 times that, because Habitat Metro Denver keeps on growing new paths, and we'll talk about that. Around the world, it's served more than 1 million families. So, I get asked, does it solve every problem? And the answer is absolutely no. Absolutely no. It's not going to be able to help every demographic, but it does a lot that wouldn't get done otherwise, and it's a great opportunity. Any questions as I'm going along here? All right, I'm going to keep on rolling, but extra points if you ask a question. Right. All right, this is just a brief snapshot off of Habitat Metro Denver's website, but it's showing, within a window of time, these were all individual families, individual people who moved into Habitat homes. And each one of these folks went through the application process, went through the education process, which is both financial management and also home maintenance, went through those sweat equity hours, and it's been roughly 125 hours per adult. So it's a bunch of hours. And keep in mind, these are often folks that are already working 1 or 2 jobs. I've been on a Habitat site, worked with a homeowner, and they're coming off of a job, and they're looking forward to getting done with their day at Habitat and seeing their kids. So these are hard-working folks doing this. But it's a really cool thing. If we can go on. Homeownership program. I've kind of already talked about this, but these are our qualified families. So there's an application process for this. This is done at an affordable mortgage rate, and there is no down payment as part of this either. So it's a great path toward getting in. But it also ensures, again, that homes are not bought and then flipped, because we want to keep those homes affordable on a very long term. And in fact, over the years, Habitat has moved to, they own the actual property. So the homeowner's buying the actual house, but the property remains with Habitat. So they can guarantee that it's going to continue as an affordable housing build. The 2 builds that just wrapped up in the last year, Mountain View and Aurora, was 20 homes, and I lost it. What's it? Augustana, which was 8 homes. So both of those were actually church properties that were either donated or long-term lease. So Mountain View anyways was like a 90-year lease for $1,000. So it's basically giving, but it controls. And there, again, it's just doing things to ensure that this continues as affordable housing, basically. There's also, like I said, home buyer education classes. One of the things, and I'll talk about this more, Habitat, most people, I certainly, thought of as new construction, and that's absolutely true. But Habitat also does home repair. So picture an older couple, an older person. You define what old is on your own, but an older person in a house that is kind of worn, windows leak, door doesn't close well, sidings, roof may have challenges. Habitat can come in and do home repair to make that a home they can continue in. The upside of that is, having, we're kind of working through it with my wife's parents now who don't want to move. They want to be in their home. And we can take care of that, but not everybody can. So this gives them that path toward being in a home, not having to move somewhere else. Habitat not having to find new property, which, as you can guess, is a pretty challenging thing inside the Denver metro area. So that home repair is a very positive thing, and usually smaller projects. So it's going to cost less. It's going to require fewer hours from the individual homeowner, but they're still part of that process. They are still paying for it over time. They are still putting in hours. It's that commitment that is so important as a part of this. Again, just a picture, again, green hat, and in this case, white hat, just is homeowner also. And then again, home being presented to the actual homeowners. The selection criteria they use, I've kind of already talked about, but they look at, need and willingness and can they pay. So need is based in part on where they're coming from, what do they have. I've talked with homeowners that, their outside walls had holes in them from, actual bullets, right? So there are some challenging areas folks are coming from. They're often many people in a very tight place also, and it's often torn down in terms of where it's at. So overcrowding, rent, we find when I talk with folks, they're often paying more for rent in Denver than they end up paying for their actual mortgage. And again, this is getting them on a long-term path to success. That partner we talked about, sweat equity, there's a ton of training that goes on in this, and that's really important. And I'll talk about education more later on too, but it plays a huge role in this. And then again, they are paying in a portable mortgage, no down payment, and their actual mortgage payment monthly doesn't exceed 30% of the total home income. I would just about guarantee there's a ton of folks in Denver paying way more than that just for rent. So this, again, gets them on a path toward long-term equity, long-term success. And it was educational for me as I became core and worked with more folks, but these are essential community members. These are first responders. These are teachers, nurses, police officers, vets, grocery store clerks, lab techs, airport folks. These are absolutely salt of the earth folks. It's just the fact that Denver housing, in so many places, housing costs a lot more than these critically important jobs pay. So this gives them a path, gives them a place to raise kids as part of it. I'll keep asking if there's questions, but I'm counting on you to raise your hand if you have. And again, extra points for that very first question. Let's move ahead. When we're out there, again, I can just tell you from the heart, it's a lot of fun. It's a blast. I won't say every day is easy, but days, if you think back, what are the days that were a lot of fun? They're probably ones where you worked hard, right? Where you were doing things that you weren't quite sure you could do, and you found out that you could, right? That's Habitat, and you're working with great people every time. You're working with people with a common heart, people that are choosing to come and leave home and do this. And we work with core volunteers, that's the blue hat, and white hat is day volunteers. So it can be a day a year or multiple a year. This morning I worked with multiple folks from an airline, and they were just out having fun, doing great things. Then their phones all went off, and they found out that the airport lost complete power. I don't know if you heard that one or not. So their day didn't go quite as well after that, but they were having more fun building a home than what their afternoon turned out to be. But it's a lot of fun. We can go on. Thank you. So the other thing, I kind of talked about this. Habitat I always thought of as new construction. It's an open property, never been built up homes. That's a big part of what we do, absolutely. But that is not all. The production shop we will talk about more, but that's a shop that is now part of Habitat Metro Denver headquarters as well. And there's a ton of painting there. So trim gets painted, doors get painted, siding, those kind of things. What that means is when all that material comes out on site, it's already painted. What that also means is people can work in the shop. If you really didn't want to work outside in this Colorado weather that you can't always tell, although it's been pretty darn nice for like 12 months now. I don't know, it's crazy. But the production shop is a climate control type of place. So it's a great place to volunteer. People build walls there if they're core, and I'll talk about this a little bit more. We already talked a little bit about home repair. It's a great way to use someone's present home and make it much more overall livable, and not have to buy property and do all that, and allow them to actually age in place as part of it too. I'll talk about ADU a little bit more too, but this is accessory dwelling unit. Have you heard this phrase, that acronym? So this is West Denver. It's a program by the government and to build homes, small homes, on properties that already have a home. So if you've got multiple families in a home, this is going to give them a, 600, 700, 800 square foot home where part of that family can move out there if they've got multiple generations, or they can rent that as affordable housing too, and we'll talk about it. So that's a Denver program, but their construction arm is actually Habitat. So we build those homes, and they're cool homes. I talked to my wife about moving into one, and that wasn't a great conversation, but I'd love to. But by doing that, Habitat actually gets paid as part of it, and that helps. That all goes toward building other homes too. So it's kind of a win-win. And then Habitat Restore, and we'll talk more about all these quickly, but that's where you may donate gently used goods or other things, and those are resold, and that goes as pure money toward building other homes. So it's a really neat thing, and that's a great volunteer opportunity too. If we could advance. I'm a way up high guy. I love crane day. When the crane comes in and roof trusses, it's the best day on the site for my money. Not everybody likes to walk around on 1.5-inch boards where it's a long drop, but I absolutely love it. And it's fun geometrically too, but I'll move on from that. New construction. So again, this is creating neighborhoods, right? We're on two builds right now. One is 20. We'll talk about it more, but it's 4 different 5-plexes. So it's five homes connected to each other, and there are 4 of those, so that's 20 homes. That'll take a couple years. And we're also working on one where it was going to be a park. Denver decided they didn't make sense as a park, gave it to Habitat if they would put actually a quantity of homes, 6 homes there. And we've got a year to build that. So that's new construction. But it begins well before that first bit of dirt is ever moved. There's a huge pipeline to find the right places, get the right contracts, do all the things. It's a pretty cool process. I'm glad I don't have to do it, quite honestly, but it's really important. If we can go on, we'll talk a little bit more about Griffith, which is in Arvada. So 25 going west on 70 for about 4.5 miles, and it's kind of right there. Like I said, this is 4 5-plexes or 20 homes total. These are all 3 and 4 bedroom homes. They're big family type of homes. They're not necessarily massive homes. These are not your, down where I live, Castle Pines Village. If you have 2 homes, it's a 10, or two bedrooms, it's a 10,000 square foot home, or it's crazy. But these are not that. They're very efficient. If we can go on, I'll show you, I think. So this just gives you a feel. On the right are the 4 5-plexes, and that'll give you a feel geographically where it's at. It's a neat place to volunteer. There's a lot of different things you can do. When you come on new construction, there's often a concern that you're going to have to go way up high, or you're going to have to carry a lot, or you're going to be in really bad sunshine or something. It's molded to what you're going to be comfortable with. That's a big part of the conversation. So this is nice also because there's a lot of homes going up at once, and there's a lot of different jobs. If we can go on a little bit. This is Villa Park. That was the other one that I talked about. This is more Denver proper. It's 25 up to 6, and then basically right close to it. So it's 6 individual homes. 3 of those are ADU size homes, which again I think is very cool. They're in the 600, 700, 800 square foot type of thing. So one's a one bedroom, one's a 2 bedroom, a little bit small, and one's a 2 bedroom large. But these are homes that have been really well thought out, and it's taken advantage of the property that's there. Plus, quite honestly, giving kids a yard around it to play, which is really important. This will give you a feel, just one of the homes at Villa Park. This is an ADU form factor. So Again, each of these homes is probably a 6-month type of build. When you've got a lot of volunteers, it's a wonderful thing, but oddly enough, things don't move quite as fast as if it's a full-time construction team, but they're built with love. We were talking about, I forget where it was, somewhere down south, but there was a hurricane that came in and tore up a ton of homes. And they talk about, Habitat doesn't talk about it, but there was actual news. The homes that didn't get torn down by the hurricane were the actual Habitat homes, because volunteers tend to use about twice as many nails as full-time folks. But those homes were great homes. And every one of these homes passes the same code, passes the same inspection that any other home does. So the production shop is a great place. Again, this is a great place to volunteer. They also support half-day volunteering there part of the time. They do a ton of painting, and that's more of a day volunteer type of thing. And if you like painting, it's a great place. I have a good friend that actually runs a paint team there, and it's a pretty technical thing. It's really neat. But the core volunteers and others actually build the stairs and the cabinets that come out on site, and the walls most of the time. So when yahoos like me, notice I didn't call Pat a yahoo, that was important. But when folks like me are out on site, we're not building every wall necessarily. We're not painting everything. We're putting those blocks into place, and that helps homes move a little bit faster too. So it not only creates multiple volunteer opportunities, depending on what's important to you, and churches have a range of age demographics too, and we want to support that. So the production shop tends to be, honestly, a little more comfort from a climate perspective. You're not lifting quite as much. You can kind of manage time. It's a great place. I would absolutely recommend it. So that's the shop, and this is paint shop that I talked about. So they do roll-on, they do spray. There's a bunch of different things, but they play a hugely important role in every home build. Home repair, we talked about. I won't drag through it too much, but this is working basically with present homes, and it's the same process. It's application, qualification, going through that, working together to jointly decide what's going to be done, and then doing it. And it is paid for over time by the actual homeowner. Some portion thereof. Habitat covers part of it also. But again, it turns from my wife keeps asking me when I'm going to bring home Habitat skills to our house. I haven't told her about this program, but it's really cool to see these homes going from kind of torn down to brand new siding, brand new windows. Again, grab bars on the inside, different things that enable people to live in this a long time without trying to have them move, which can cause a lot of folks discomfort and go through that whole expense too. This just gives you a couple pictures around home repair. It's a neat thing too, because you're on one home kind of till it's done. We can go on. Capable is kind of a subset of that. Again, this is more of an age-in-place primary focus, but really important. And this is actually a Habitat Metro Denver and Colorado Visiting Nurse Association program. It includes occupational therapists and RN visits. Obviously, Habitat is more the actual home type of modification, but it's a really valuable thing. ADUs, we've talked about. Again, this is West Denver that it's going on in, but it's a pretty broad area. And again, if you see these homes, they don't feel like tiny homes. They are really efficient. They are really well laid out, and they go up pretty darn quickly as part of it also. We can go on. Again, ADUs, that was one actually being dropped in. That is much less common. They usually go up in place. So these are hand-built walls are coming out of the shop, those kind of things. But they are really neat. And again, oftentimes they serve a group of folks where they may be multiple families living in a home. So it's really tight, very uncomfortable. This gives them the opportunity to, on the same property, add this home and move part of the family there. I probably shouldn't tell my wife about this either, because she may suggest I move out there over time. But any questions of anything I've talked about so far? All right, let's keep on moving then. Restore is really neat. This is, have you guys been to a Habitat Restore? Some, most? Okay. Yeah, I mean, just to, get things, they're usually pretty low price, pretty high quality. And they get donations from people that are cleaning house, that have done a remodel and moved out, gently used appliances or other things. And it's neat. It actually raises a big amount of money every year, $1 million a year, that all goes directly to homes. So it's a really cool thing. Volunteering here is a big part of it also.
Christian,
Yeah, please.
just to let you know, we redid our kitchen. We took everything in our bathrooms, everything on the back porch. They came, saw what was available, and took it away. So that was easy for us.
Yeah.
They actually come and take the stuff that they can use.
Yeah, it's very cool. We organized a Restore thing at our church, and they brought out an 18-wheeler, and a lot of folks brought stuff. And doesn't it feel good to get things out of the house, too? So, one, thank you for that. Yeah, it's a neat place. Not everything that comes in there is absolutely perfect, so part of volunteering is helping those things become perfect so they can sell better. But it's a great opportunity. This is one where we also can take younger age folks too. So it's a great opportunity there. And it's also kind of a climate controlled environment as part of it. Just a couple photos from Restore. This is in the shop and the outside. If you go on Habitat Metro Denver website, there's a bunch of information there, but you can see how many restores are in the kind of Denver metro broader area. So you don't have to drive far to get to one usually. Talk a little bit about Habitat. I know when I donate, whether it's to our church or to a given charity, I want to know where it goes, right? And I wanted to share that with you as part of this. So Habitat Denver spends 88% of the money it receives directly on programs and services. The other 5% of it goes to admin, 7% to fundraising. But quite honestly, that's it, just that 12. The other thing is, in terms of where Habitat money comes from, 59% of Habitat Metro Denver's budget comes from contributions, gifts, grants. And then much of the rest comes from government grants and fundraising events. So this is kind of how Habitat gets money and what it does with it. Questions, any of that? Okay. Again, just to give you a couple pictures, this was back, Pat, you can probably tell me, but I'm thinking it was probably Aria. Yeah, this was another kind of a church property. This was given to Habitat by a convent, actually, so it was really interesting. And their only stipulation when they wanted to donate this property was that it wouldn't be used to build a Walmart. So you can take that as you will, but we definitely didn't build a Walmart there. We built, I think, 28 homes there. Duplexes, tris, and quads. It was a couple-year build, but a really interesting area too. So that's one of the things I talked about. This process begins many years before we ever swing a hammer, right? Where the home's going to be? What do we have to hit code-wise? How do we maximize homes plus yard, plus parking, plus all access, all these different things. So Habitat has their own architecture team that literally does this day in, day out, and it makes a huge difference. I love this. These are things that are coming out of the shop or boards that are, church groups have worked on. So you'll see a few really nice things. The actual homeowners, if they've worked on different houses and not their own, may not see that, but they will know it's in there. We can keep on going. So I love this one too. 95% of children growing up in a Habitat Denver home graduate high school. That's actually 17% higher than Colorado's average. It doesn't say anything great for the rest of Colorado necessarily, but it says a lot of great things for what going from parents that maybe work in 2 or 3 jobs and gone all the time and being in a challenging neighborhood and a lot of noise where you may not be able to concentrate on doing individual homework, to being in an environment like a lot of us may have grown up in, where you have a place to work, where your parents are home at night, where there's good things going on. This is a really powerful thing. I love this one. And it is absolutely changing lives. And it's changing lives, not just those individuals, but on a generational basis, because this is going to build generation after generation on this too. Again, cranes and roof trusses. There isn't anything better, but we can go on. I like this one too. The other thing when you talk about education is, 92% of Habitat homeowners want their kids to get additional education. So not only graduate high school, but go on beyond that. Not only that though, the parents, now that they may not have to work multiple jobs, they're often doing education themselves too, and that grows generational capability. Please.
How many do you pick? Do you take into consideration schools, school districts, or that kind of stuff, or is that just
Let me make sure I understand your question. You're saying when Habitat looks at a place to build, do they look at schools? My guess is the answer is absolutely yes. I'm not one of the ones doing it, so I can only answer with what I think. But when they talk to us, and they'll often have a couple times a year, they'll meet with core volunteers and talk about long-term projects. They're looking at a much broader picture. They're on a budget also. These are affordable homes, so they're trying to figure out how to balance all of these different things. It's an excellent question, though, and really important. I didn't catch your last sentence. I can't talk to that. Certainly smarter than me, though. So I think you got the most points for question 1. You're on number 2 here, so good. Any other questions, guys? All right, let's go on. Oh, yeah, this one's kind of fun, too, Isaiah. And it's just neat to walk into a home and know how much love has gone into actually building it. Let's go on for more of the same. Yeah, it's just fun. So volunteer opportunities, and we're in the home stretch on my slides here. But new construction, there's volunteer opportunities, usually Wednesday through Saturday is what you would think about. So is there Sunday opportunities too? I didn't think so. Yeah, Wednesday's core, but they are doing day volunteers, half-day volunteers also now. So it's really cool. Anyways, NewCon is what Pat and I do. It's a lot of fun. It is out in the weather generally. We have people that just do cabinets inside and all those really cool things that I don't want to. And that's inside once there is an inside. So there's a range of things to do. Home repair, renovation, keeping folks in place, great opportunity. Production shop, I cannot say enough. It's a wonderful thing. Again, same great hearts with a roof over your head and air blowing through. So offers a lot of good things too, and really makes a difference for the actual new construction a lot. And then restore, absolutely really important. So this just gives you a feel in terms of volunteer opportunities. And then again, teamwork is a great thing. We don't usually have this many volunteers at the same time on a site, but for your church, if I can promise you, if you decided, hey, we've got 10 or 15 people that want to work on the same day, Habitat will work to make that happen. I coordinate volunteers for our faith coalition, and that's made up of 14 churches. So I'm coordinating different church asks all the time, and it's a cool thing. I think I'm in the home stretch here. Again, volunteering's great any day, anywhere from a day a year to multiple days a week. And there's daily volunteers, core volunteers, faith coalitions. Corporations are a big thing too. We are very grateful for them. Donations can be personal, corporate, and certainly Colorado Gives is part of that too. And then if you have more information, these are all off of the Habitat Metro Denver website. There's a ton of information there. If you walk out of here saying, Dave didn't tell me anything, this site will absolutely cover it. If you walk out of here saying Dave didn't tell me anything, please ask, and I'll be glad to also. That's what I brought in. Glad to take any other questions. Please.
What is your relationship with zoning commission?
Mine is zero as a volunteer, but I understand the question. I would imagine Habitat architects and all of the Habitat folks work pretty closely, but honestly, that's beyond my personal scope. I really can't answer it. Any other questions, guys?
Is the age requirements for the production area the same as on site?
I think it's less, especially because it's primarily painting. On the new construction site, to your excellent question, Jeff, it is 16 and above, 18 if you want to go up high. On just so we don't kill people, it wouldn't go well. It's not. But the production shop, I think, is younger. It may be 14, and the restore may be younger yet. All these things are going to be on the website, and I had a gentleman approach me from your youth group earlier, and I'm going to get him information too. So, question back here?
That was my question, was what are the age, what's the lowest age for volunteers? So that makes sense.
And I mean, kids come out and do a great job. They are wonderful. They don't ask that you bring your own tools. Habitat, you need to wear closed-toed shoes, and you need to come with a good attitude. And that, and bring your own lunch if you're going to be there on a full day. But Habitat will do a great job keeping people cool. You can take breaks. It's a great place to work. What was there, sir?
Yeah, do you have a big backlog of people waiting for these homes?
It varies. Honestly, it's an excellent. Did everybody hear the question? Okay. It varies on the build and what's going on in terms of geography and the homes and everything else. Generally, it seems to mesh, but people begin the process usually 2 years in advance, kind of thing, because you're applying, you're looking at a home, and there's a range of homes to choose from, but that home may not be built for a while, and you got to put in the hours, which is going to be a combination of sweat equity and new construction, Habitat restore in the shop, and there's the classes. So it's a process that I think begins at least a year in advance, often 2. But so there is a pipeline for it, but they've done a really good job on making it pretty smooth, I think. Excellent question. What else, guys? All right. Well, thank you. Oh.
I've got one more thing I'll tell you. It's kind of odd because I'm her husband, we've had a lot of good experiences with Habitat. But our son was without a job for a while, partly because he didn't have some references, but we were suggesting that he do some good volunteer work. He has had a great experience in Restore and really learned a lot. And to boot, as an unexpected benefit, they wrote a letter of recommendation that we got done, which was
I love that.
huge benefit.
Wonderful. It's very cool. Honestly, I get to work, and I know Pat does too, with a range of Habitat paid folks, right? Yellow hat folks that are staff. These are not high paying jobs. These are people that are putting heart into it. We also work with AmeriCorps kids. Kids are anybody under 40 now to me, but these are usually 25 and under, right? We get kids coming right out of high school, right out of college. They're in between undergrad and grad. They're out there busting tail from all over the country, and it's the coolest thing. It makes you feel good about the world. So you get to work with a whole range of people, and honestly, my heart grows every time. I think I get shorter over time, but my heart's growing every time. Any other questions? Thank you guys very much.
Can we thank Dave for coming out? Thank you so much. So to share with you some of the other organizations that we are starting to work with, we're still developing what the work is going to look like, and we don't know what that looks like yet. For Habitat, we have a better sense. So I will tell you, on faith, we have already committed to raising $2,500 this year for Habitat, and we are one of the faith partners that we have signed up for that and committed to that. We do plan on having one, probably in the fall, September maybe, construction day on site to help with the build of one of the homes. And then we're going to look at other opportunities and make those available to you for the production shop, the paint shop, and especially for our youth. Pastor Hale is already working on the summer mission retreat that we're going to have. We're hoping to get them connected with Habitat and be in the Restore as one of their 2 projects. So these are the things that are before us. We have sign-up boards, as we usually do for all 5 of these, out on your way out. If you have not signed up and you want information about the volunteer opportunities for Habitat or any of the other 5 organizations, please take a moment to sign your name on the board, circle the organizations you want to learn about. You'll be put on a mailing list for those organizations as things develop. And we look forward to a wonderful year of working with these 5 organizations, including Habitat for Humanity. So thank you all for being here. Let's give Dave one more round of applause. Dave, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hope you all have a wonderful night. Go in peace. See you next week for our last one.